down to some difficult areas, one of the things we want to focus in on is the trills. So at the faster tempo that we take it, we will probably be putting fewer alternations in. I would suggest practicing the trill, all the trill areas without a trill at first. And then putting in a grace note after that. And then go ahead and try to put the trill in. And I would also suggest using a metronome at that point. So now here I have it at 100, which might be fast for us. So we could slow it down for practice sake to say 70, like this. I'll raise the volume a little bit here. Okay, so again, no trill, no grace note only, and then all of it together. And we would do that for each of those. Now, the other trick with this is that you're using some weak fingers, so the ring finger, the third finger, and the fourth finger for much of these trills. And you're just going to have to do the best you can to get a rapid alternation. You'll probably, again, if we get to a faster tempo of maybe 100 or more, then we're going to probably be doing fewer, and that's what I opted to do. So if we kind of come back up to 100 here, like this, and the same thing for the second one. So the other idea stylistically is that these trills should be only ornaments, and they shouldn't be accented or really brought out other than to just add ornament to the actual shape of the phrase. We have some 16th note and 32nd note groupings with some 32nd note rests, and those are essentially just trying to express two-note groups. So we can just lift off each second one. I lightly put my tongue back on. If we want to talk about tonguing a little bit, which we should, let's just give a few ideas here. So first, when we form a clarinet embouchure, we're going to say the letter Q, and when we say the letter Q, the lower lip is flush against the lower teeth, and the corners are firm, and the chin is down. And the upper lip is wrapped around the mouthpiece. We are getting the lower lip right where the mouthpiece, the reed and the mouthpiece meet. That's where approximately the lower lip should be. And so when we say that Q, the upper lip wraps over the mouthpiece. It's important to have the chin down and not pushed up, and it's important to have the lower lip really pulled against the lower teeth and the corners firm. When all of that is in place, then the articulation is really mostly about the air. So we're blowing air and we're interrupting the air. So if we say, so I say the word T-E-E-T, and I'm tonguing with the tip of my tongue just under the tip of the reed. And so I can feel the edge of my tongue just on the edge of the reed. The important thing again about articulation is that the air must be always flowing steadily through. There are a couple other areas that I think we can just touch on. So watch out for your dynamics here. If it says play it forte or play it piano, then do those things. If there are accents, please do those as well. Down towards the bottom we have a trill and a grace note on a high E and a trill on a high D. So and what we could do there, depending on your tempo, is normally when we play a high C sharp, we have no right hand pinky, but we play a high D, we do use the right hand pinky, and a high E flat, and high E, high F. All of those notes use the right hand pinky, E flat key here. Well, what we could do is play and use your E, your pinky for your high E, and come down to the D, and then when you come up to the grace note there, you might, if your speed is fast enough, you might just lift off that pinky and just play the high E with no pinky, D, and then the quick trill down to your C sharp. So in essence, you're helping get to that C sharp. If the C sharp has the pinky on it, it's going to be sharp. But if the high E and the D don't have the pinky, it's a little less noticeable tuning wise. And you could, actually, it was a little flat on the last E and D, so I can push my pinky back on either for the last E or for the last D. Like that. It's a small point, but the trill up there can really hang you up if you don't really watch out for your pinky. I would suggest practicing this with a metronome. Because you'll find that, and I found this myself, that you can tend to slow down if you're not using a metronome, particularly because of the ornaments. Let's see, on this part right here, so what we would do in there is sometimes on those quarter note Ds, I'm actually blowing my breath out, releasing air instead of taking air in. Because there really there are not a lot of places to breathe. Generally speaking, where to breathe are after eighth notes or quarter notes. And so I'm grabbing very, very quick breaths like that. So for instance, if I start on the fourth line down, and before each upbeat, bump, 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 bump is what I'm doing. Just grabbing a quick breath by opening up the corners of my mouth. Like that, open up the corners, leave my embouchure mostly formed, and like that, and I grab my quick breaths as I go throughout. Let's see. I would suggest rather to practice the end of this a lot and the opening a lot, but I would really focus in on the end and go backwards. A system that I like to use in practicing is to work from the back and work towards the front, especially in these all-state and all-district etudes, because students tend to really work a lot in the beginning and then they don't have as much security at the end, and then by that time your concentration, if you get 2/3 through the piece, your concentration can wane a little bit. So I would suggest really working on the end first, measure by measure, and working backwards. Take passages in isolation. Don't worry about playing the whole thing straight through all the time. Once in a while, when you're ready, go ahead and do some run-throughs. But I would take a lot of the passages in isolation. Which pinkies to use for the C and the C sharps? Generally speaking, when you're having a C sharp in a bar and a B next to each other, I tend to use a left-handed B and a right C sharp. And then otherwise, I'm tending, if in this key G major, I'm using a lot of left-hand Bs and right-hand Cs. Let me see if there's any things that go contrary to that. In the bar, in the second line from the top, on the last line, after that little trill on the G, and so we're using a left-hand C with a right-hand D sharp or E flat. So that's an instance where we would need the left-hand C and a right-handed B there in order to accommodate the upcoming D sharp at the end of that bar. So what I would suggest is to start with your metronome and play it slowly, and then work your way up gradually, work in sections, practice articulation isolated, so maybe use a few of the passages that are tongued and just isolate those separately. You'll notice that there are some accidentals periodically and in those little scale passages ascending. Not a lot, but in the fourth line down, the last bar, there's an A sharp. Some of those things can get us a little bit off kilter rhythmically, and so just do sit and focus in on those things as well. Okay, I wish you all good luck.